It's so easy to make these delicious gingerbread cookies, and it's the perfect treat for yourself and your loved one this Christmas. So let's get baking. This recipe is super easy. You will be able to make these in your own kitchen. The full list of all the ingredients that you need is in the description. So we've weighed our flour into a bowl, and then we're going to add the baking powder to the flour. Now, part of what makes gingerbread taste so sweet and delicious is the use of spices. So we're going to be using 4 different types of spices to make this delicious gingerbread. So I've got ginger in that large jar. We have cloves, ground cinnamon, and allspice. Make sure you use all these in your gingerbread cookies for them to taste absolutely delicious. Honestly, as soon as you start to mix up everything together, you can already smell all the spices, so you know that your cookies are going to taste absolutely delicious. Once you've added all the spices into the bowl, the last dry ingredients you're going to add is salt, and then you're just going to whisk that all together to mix it until it's nicely combined, and then you're going to set it aside for later. Now we're going to start off with creaming the butter. So we're going to measure out the butter into your mixer bowl, and then you're going to add the sugar. Let me just take a moment to ask you that if you haven't subscribed to Dr. Mommy Cake's channel, you are missing out on lots of cake decorating tutorials and cake recipes made for beginners. So do hit the subscribe button now. Thank you so very much. So we're using 2 different types of sugar for this recipe. We have the dark brown sugar, and we're also going to use another type of sugar which is called molasses. So molasses is unrefined sugar. It has a very rich, robust, complex taste and flavor, and it really brings so much goodness to your gingerbread. So be sure to add molasses to your recipe. So add that to the butter and sugar mixture, and then cream it in your stand mixer, or if you're using a hand mixer, cream it together until it's nicely combined. And we're going to be adding the other wet ingredients with it, which is your vanilla extract. And also next we're going to add the eggs. Once you've added the eggs, mix together until the mixture is well combined, and that is your wet ingredients done. Do make sure that you scrape the bowl to make sure that everything is very well combined. Sometimes you might have some unmixed butter or sugar at the bottom, and you don't want that. So next you're going to add in all the dry ingredients mixture and mix together until it starts to form a dough. Now, what you want is a dough that comes well together, and when you touch the dough, it shouldn't really stick so much onto your hands. If the dough still feels quite wet and sticky, then you can add a tablespoon of flour to the mixture and then retest. Again, you don't want to be adding too much flour, because again, you it needs to have some degree of stickiness, but not too sticky. Okay, so that's what you should be aiming for. So here it's a little bit too sticky. So you'll see that I add just 1 tablespoon of flour, and then I mix it together. And then when I test it again, it's not as sticky. For this recipe, it's important you chill your dough. So what you need to do is wrap your dough in cling film and put in the fridge to chill for at least 2 hours. If you have time, you can chill it overnight. Chilling makes it so much easier to roll your dough out, and it prevents the dough from spreading too much when you bake. When you're ready to bake your cookies, use a baking tray and line it with some parchment paper. Next, we're going to get all the tools that we need for rolling out the dough. You want a non-stick surface, so if you have a silicone mat, you also need a rolling pin. I have a rolling pin that has this guide, so the yellow bits give me a fixed thickness, so it allows me to be able to roll the dough to a specific thickness. You want to sprinkle some flour onto your work surface. Again, this makes it really non-stick so that when you're rolling out the dough, it doesn't stick to your silicone mat. If you don't have a silicone mat, you can use a clean work surface and just sprinkle some flour onto the surface. Unwrap the dough and just cut a small section of the dough to start rolling. Roll it into the flour so that there's coating of flour and on the dough, and then just roll it out. So you can see the advantage of having the guide is that when I roll it, it will be the same thickness all around. And also the advantage of that is that each cookie will be the same thickness, and they're quite cheap to buy. I will put the link on where you can buy rolling pins that have guides. So I'm using a gingerbread man shaped cookie to make the cookie and cut it out. You want to use the sharp bit and cut it nicely, firmly, and then just peel the residual dough out. Don't throw those dough away. You're going to keep it and roll it again for the next time round. So once you've cut your shape, then you can just gently lift it off your work surface with a palette knife and put it onto your baking tray. And even though this recipe is for gingerbread man, you do know that you can make any shape and size that you so desire. All you've just got to do is use a different cutter. So cut out all the gingerbread man using all the dough. When you put it on the tray, do leave some spaces between each man, allow for spread. Pop it in the oven and see it's all ready. So you can see I only baked about 4 gingerbread mans on this size of tray. I left plenty of space, but there's not really any much spread because you've chilled your dough, so that's the advantage. So once your cookies have baked, take them off the baking pan and allow them to cool on a wire rack, and then they are ready to eat. So gingerbread men, you can decorate them with royal icing or sprinkle of sugar, and they will keep for about a week if you store them in an airtight container. But they're so yummy, I can almost guarantee you they'll be gone super quick.